Good morning. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Total Body Strength. Have a good circuit planned for us today. Oh, hi. I love when I get to see faces. So we're gonna do 3 rounds. We're gonna do 45 seconds of work, 15 seconds of rest / transition time, and then we're gonna be working on our Yes, we're doing total body. We're working on single arm and single leg things today. So we're going to do one arm and one leg at a time, and then we'll finish out with some core movements at the end. So that is what we got coming up today. I'm going to go ahead and get started with the demos real quick. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start off with a half kneeling overhead press, and then we're going to do, again, one arm at a time. So we'll have one dumbbell. We're going to have one knee on the ground and one foot on the ground. That is up to you which one you want to use. I like to have the same knee that's on the ground. I like that hand to be the one I'm using. Whatever feels good, you can always stay in that position the whole time. You can switch your knees, whatever feels good. But we're going to start off, we're going to have that dumbbell right over the shoulder, pressing up overhead, and then coming back down. So our elbow is slightly in. We have 45-degree angle here. Really important to make sure that our shoulders are staying level. So if it helps, stick that arm out to the side so that way we're not dipping that other shoulder. So we'll do all 45 seconds on one leg, and then we'll switch over to the other side. Again, sticking that arm out if we need to. So those are our first two movements. And then we're going to go ahead and stand on up, and we're going to do a kickstand Romanian deadlift. This angle is cutting my head off. So fix that real quick. So what we're going to do is we're going to put all of our weight into one of our feet, and then we're going to come up on the other toe. So I like to stand on this so we can see my feet. So I like to have my toe in line with the arch of my working leg, and then the foot directly below the hip. You might find maybe a little bit further back or out to the side works better for you. So kind of play around with that to find the good position. But if I'm using my left leg first, my right leg, I'm up on the toe, push the hips back like we're closing a door. The dumbbells are going to stop roughly right below the knees or whenever your hips stop moving back. And then we're going to drive through the heel, pushing back up. So that is the kickstand. We're going to add a twist. We're going to go nice and slow. So we're going to do 3 seconds down. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and then push to the ground. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to do that all on one leg and then switching over to the other side. So same thing, keeping that foot as close to right underneath the hip as we can, going down nice and slow, coming up nice and slow. So those are going to be our lower body movements here. And then we're going to go ahead and get on the ground. We're going to lay on our backs. We're going to start with some toe touches here. So we're going to have 1, 2, or no dumbbells, whatever feels good. Legs straight in the air, hands above the shoulders, and we're going to exhale, coming up, touch the toes, and back down, or I guess as close to the toes as you can. So exhaling, coming up, using that core, and then back down. And then lastly, what we're going to do is we're going to do some single leg lowering. So our feet are going to stay up there where they just were. And what we're going to do is we're going to lower one leg as close to the ground as we can without our belly button moving from the ground. So we're going to press that belly button into the ground. And then we're going to exhale, bring the core together, and bring that leg back up. So we're going to go nice and slow here, making sure that as we come up, we are using our core and not the hips. So that is the key for that one, but that is going to be our whole workout for today. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our warm-up here, and we're going to start off in a half kneeling position, doing a little bit of hip flexor to hamstring stretch. So we're going to have one knee on the ground, one foot on the ground, and we're going to tuck our pelvis. We're going to squeeze the glute of the knee that's on the ground, and then we're going to gently push those hips forward. We're going to do a nice big deep belly breath here. And we're going to exhale, straighten the front leg, push those hips back, bring the chest to the knee, toes to the ceiling. Opening up the back of the leg here. We're going to do a nice big deep breath. And we're going to exhale, coming back forward to our hip flexor stretch. So same checklist, butt to belly button, squeeze the glute, and bring those hips forward. We're going to do a nice big deep breath. And we're exhaling, straightening that front leg, rocking those hips back, toes to the ceiling, chest towards the knee. Breathing into those tight areas. We're going to do one more breath. And then we're going to go ahead and exhale. We're going to do one more on this side, and then we'll switch sides here. So squeeze that glute. Really keeping that glute squeeze is going to help us release the hip flexors. That's why we want that glute squeeze the whole time. We're going to do a nice big deep breath. And we're exhaling, straightening that front leg, rock the hips back. Last hamstring stretch on this side. We're going to do a big deep breath. And we're going to go ahead and exhale and come out of that. And then we can go ahead and switch our legs. So opposite knee and opposite foot. Same checklist. So butt to belly button, squeeze the glute and push those hips forward. We're going to take a nice big deep breath. And we're going to exhale, rock the hips back, straighten that front leg, toes to the ceiling, bring that chest as close to the knee as we can, really opening up the back of the leg. We're going to do one more breath. And we're exhaling, rocking back forward into our hip flexor stretch. So tuck the pelvis, squeeze the glute, and pushing those hips forward. We're going to do a nice big deep breath. And exhaling, rocking back into our hamstring stretch. Get a little bit deeper into the stretch as we warm up. We're going to do one more breath. And exhaling, coming back forward. So last one here. So butt to belly button, squeeze the glute, push those hips forward. Nice big deep belly breath. And exhaling, rocking back. Last hamstring stretch here. Nice big breath here. Now we're going to go ahead and exhale and come out of it. And then we can go ahead and make our way onto our hands and our knees. And once we're here, we're going to do a little bit of plank to pike, warming up our shoulders and our core a little bit more. So from the hands and knees, we can go ahead and push ourselves up into that plank position. And then we're going to go ahead and exhale, push those hips up into a down dog or pike position. We can pedal those heels a little bit, opening up our calves. And then we're going to go ahead and come back to plank and back up to pike. And back to plank. And one more coming up. And from here, we can go ahead and walk our hands towards our feet. Get one last little hamstring stretch in here. Then we can go ahead and stand on up. And we are ready to rock and roll. So 45 seconds of work, 15 seconds of rest / transition time. Let me grab my other weights here. And then we're starting on the ground, half kneeling, overhead presses. So we have one dumbbell. I'm going to get the timer going here. Didn't get that set up in time. All right, 3, 2, 1, and go. So we're half kneeling here to start off. So again, you can choose whichever knee feels good. I personally prefer to have the knee of the arm that I'm using on the ground. That maybe doesn't feel so good for you. So choosing your side, and then want to keep those shoulders level the whole time. So sticking that arm out to the side will help. You might notice once we switch to the other arm that maybe one side leans more than the other. So being mindful of that, keeping that elbow slightly in front. We're not all the way out. 45-degree angle here. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. All right. Switching our knees if you like. You don't have to. Again, this is my personal preference, so you might find something that works better for you. We're getting ready. 3, 2, 1. So coming all the way up overhead, 45-degree angles in the elbows. Exhaling as we come up. We also, even though we are in the half kneeling position, we still want to make sure that we're keeping that core engaged. So we don't want that pelvis to be out here. We want to bring the butt to belly button, lock that in, staying here throughout the whole movement here. So we want to be nice and tall from our knees to our hips, to our shoulders and head. One straight line, elbow slightly in. Again, arm out to the side if you feel yourself dipping to your opposite shoulder. 3, 2, 1. All right. Oh, my elbow just cracked. All right, we're gonna stand on up. We have our kickstand Romanian deadlifts. So we're gonna put all of our weight on one foot, coming on the other toe. 3, 2, 1. And then don't forget to, we're going nice and slow. So butt to belly button, pushing our hips back like we're closing a door with our butt, driving through the heel, coming on up, nice and slow. So if we're still trying to get a hang of the movement, we can definitely go a little bit faster. But sometimes going slow does kind of help get the mind to muscle connection going, and also learning the movement pattern and having proper intent. So that is why I do like to go slow. But we're gonna feel this in the glutes as we drive the heel through the ground. 3, 2, 1. All right, we're gonna go ahead, take a second, but we're gonna do that same thing on the other leg. So we'll switch to the opposite foot. And again, coming up on that toe helps. If you need to come forward, back, whatever, but we really want to keep that foot. 3, 2, 1. I like to have that foot as close to underneath the hip as we can, because that then helps our body get really used to it, since that's kind of, if we were doing a 2-leg, we still would have that foot under the hip. So it keeps it as close to the way that we would do it, basically. And then really important here too, I'll go from this angle for a second. We want to keep our dumbbells in the center. So I see it pretty often where when we're doing one leg that we tend to move our dumbbells to that side. That's going to put pressure on the back. 3, 2, 1. So we really want to keep those dumbbells on along both the legs. So that's why it's important to keep that foot under the hip. All right, we're gonna lay on the ground. We got toe touches first. Getting ready here. 3, 2, 1. So hands above the shoulders. We're gonna exhale, use the core. We're bringing our core together. We're zipping the core up, but we also want to exhale through the straw, bringing everything together and down. And then I do also like to recommend pausing for a second at the bottom, re-engage the core, and then go up. So I will take a lot of momentum out of the movement, making sure we're just using our core. So engage and then come up. Great job. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. All right. Next up, we have single leg lowering. So we're going to have our legs up in the air like they just were. And then one leg coming down at a time. 3, 2, 1. So pressing that belly button into the ground, lower as far as we can without losing our form of the back, and also making sure that we're going to a point where we're not going to use those hips to bring the legs back up. I know for me, if I go down all the way to the ground, I definitely start feeling that in my hips, which is why we don't do this movement a lot in this class, because it bothers my hip. So being mindful, use the core, exhale through that straw, bring the core together, zip it all up. Moving nice and slow. If we go too fast, our legs kick in. 3, 2, 1. All right. That is it for round 1. So we're going to do that 2 more times through. So we're getting started with our half kneeling overhead presses. We got 1 dumbbell getting ready here. 3, 2, 1. All right. So whatever knee feels good on the ground, and maybe that's the same knee both times. Whatever feels good, because we're all different and we all have our preferences. I don't think this is any more correct than having the other knee out in front. So doing what feels good, just making sure that our core is nice and tight, our pelvis is tucked, so our back is nice and flat. That dumbbell is starting right over the shoulder. We're not coming down all the way. We're staying here so that elbow is slightly below the shoulder as well. Pressing all the way up and back down, keeping that elbow slightly in front. And time is up. I was talking and not paying attention. So we're resting. We're switching the knees if that feels good. If it doesn't feel good, you're not switching your knee. 3, 2, 1. So again, elbow slightly in front. That core is zipped up and pulled together. And then if you need to stick that arm out, definitely do that. Pushing up above head. And then again, you also might notice maybe you dip a little bit more on one arm than the other. It also sometimes, if we are dipping a lot, we can always lighten the weight. So grab a lighter dumbbell. That way we're just focusing on using our shoulder muscle. We want to feel it really in the front and in the top of the shoulder here. Great job. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. All right, we're going to stand on up. Almost fell over there. All good. Kickstand Romanian deadlifts. We're doing 3 seconds down, 3 seconds up. Getting ready. 3, 2, 1. So what I was saying at the end of last time, we want that foot underneath the hip, partially because of stability and everything, but we want to keep those dumbbells in the center. So let those hands drag along both of the legs. We're pushing our hips back as far as we can and then driving through the heel. So right now I'm just using my left leg, keeping that core engaged. We also want to act like we're squeezing an orange right here between our shoulder blades to keep our upper back nice and flat. Great job. We're going nice and slow here. 3, 2, 1. All right, we're getting ready. We're going to do the other leg. We're readjusting here, finding that good footing. 3, 2, 1. So again, push the hips back, push the ground away. We want to drive through that heel. That's going to help us engage the glutes here. And then with that footing of our other foot, what I like to aim for is as we're going back, the hips are even. So I don't know, it might be hard to tell because I am wearing the black and black, but I see a lot of times, sometimes if the foot is not in the proper place, the hips are not level. We want those hips to be facing forward. So really trying to find the good footing for you, because that's going to look different for all of us. Great job. Using that heel. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, we got toe touches and then single leg lowering. And then we got one more round and then we'll do a quick cool down. Are we ready to rock and roll? 3, 2, 1. So legs in the air. So we're bringing the core together. Exhale, come up and back down. So we zip the core up. We exhale through the straw. So we're bringing everything together and down. Great job. Really want to activate the core and engage it and then use it versus coming up as we're doing it. And also, again, moving nice and slow. So we're not using momentum. It's really easy to let the head, neck, and shoulders drive the movement versus the core. 3, 2, 1. All right. We got a few seconds, then we got single leg lowering, and then we're going to get back up for our half kneeling overhead presses. Getting ready. 3, 2, 1. So legs in the air, belly button press into the ground, going as low as we can. Also for this, I know it's really tempting because I see it a lot with leg raises when we're going both together. I want us to really try to not place the hands under the hips. Okay, we really want to just use the muscles in the body, getting stronger at it, because when we do that, we're helping ourselves out We might not necessarily feel it the way we should be. So if we are, you know, used to doing that, then we just go down a little bit less far. So we don't have to go all the way down. Go down to what feels comfortable where you can get back up. 3, 2, 1. All right, round 2 is done. We're getting ready for round 3, half kneeling overhead presses. Last round here, 3, 2, 1. So I feel like doubles as a really good hip flexor stretch to do it this way. That's why we warmed up with that stretch, because we're in that half kneeling position for a lot of this workout here, I guess for 2, 6, so 1/3. Math early in the morning, gotta love it. Making sure we're not bringing that arm all the way down so the elbow is just slightly below the shoulder. We really want to feel the front part of the shoulder here and the side really working in this movement. Great job. Try and get 2 more in here. 3, 2, 1. All right. Switching sides if that feels good. We're doing just, that is the second time my elbow has cracked today. All right. I guess we're starting the day off strong. 3, 2, 1. So keeping those shoulders level. I like to have my hand on my hip here, but if it feels good to have it straight out to the side, if you really want to challenge yourself, you can, you know, hold a dumbbell out to the other side, work the other shoulder, but that seems a little intense. So, you know, that's just if you really want to make it really hard for yourself and really work those shoulders today, which I think we all know by now. I love training shoulders, but this week, last week we did more pulling motions. So this week we're doing some pushing, and then next week we'll do a little bit of both. So always incorporating pushing and pulling movements for the upper and lower body here. 3, 2, 1. All right, standing on up. We're doing our RDLs. We're going to do one leg, then the other leg, and then we're on the ground for the rest of the class. 3, 2, 1. So butt to belly button, squeezing that orange with our shoulder blades, coming down nice and slow. Really push those hips back and then push the ground away. So this is a lower body pulling motion, but I don't want us to pull the weight up. I want to push the weight up using the legs. So that's kind of what I want us to think here is we're pushing the door closed, we're pushing the ground away. Keeping that core zipped up, exhaling as we stand back up. Great job. Moving nice and slow. 3, 2, 1. All right. Getting ready for our other leg, and then we're going to be done with RDLs. And then, like I said, we'll be on our backs the rest of the time because we are going to cool down by stretching on our backs. 3, 2, 1. Pushing the hips back and pushing the ground away. Great job. Working our glutes. Also working our core and our upper body because we have to keep those shoulder blades pulled down and together. So that's why we're squeezing that orange here. We can even act too like we're holding a piece of paper in between our arm and our body. Don't let that paper fall. So that's how we're going to keep those shoulder blades kind of squeezed down and then together. Great job. Keeping that core tight. 3, 2, 1. All right. On the ground for toe touches and then single leg lowering. And then we'll cool down and then we're going to have a great day. All right. 3, 2, 1. So engage the core, exhale up and back down. So we're coming up and back down. Again, lots of core work today. Even with like the RDLs, we were really working our core to help keep our back nice and flat. So that's why I do like to incorporate core work like this at the end of a like circuit like this, because it does help our other movements inside and outside of the gym when we do have a stronger pillar, which is shoulders, hips, and torso. Great job. 3, 2, 1. All right, done with those. Next up, we have single leg lowering, which working on the single leg lowering can also help strengthen I just stuttered really bad, the low back. 3, 2, 1. So it helps strengthen our low back by pushing that belly button into the ground. And again, we want to avoid having our hands under our hips because that makes it more, it makes us use our core less. So if we need to, again, just stopping a little bit sooner to make sure we are working on the core and we're learning how to engage and pull the core, like pull our legs with the core. So it's also like kind of the thing with dead bugs too. It's similar, right? This one's just a little bit more difficult because of the length of the leg versus straightening out this way. Lowering it is just a different aspect of the core that we're working on. 3, 2, 1. And we are done with today's circuit. So go ahead. We're going to stay on our backs here. So go ahead and stay on the ground. And we're going to go ahead. We're going to do our figure 4 stretch. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to lay all the way down on the ground. We're going to have one foot on the ground. We're going to cross the opposite ankle over that knee. So I have my left foot on the ground. Right ankle is over the left knee. And if that tension feels good, go ahead and stay there. If you need a little extra tension, let's go ahead and interlace those fingers and grab either behind the knee or in front of the shin and pull that knee towards the chest. And we're going to do a few big deep breaths here. Inhaling in through the nose. And then sighing away that tension with each exhale. We're opening up our lower back with this stretch by stretching out our glutes, our hamstrings, and our hips. And that little teeny tiny muscle underneath the glutes called the piriformis. So breathing in through the nose, into the belly. Sighing away the tension. We're going to go ahead and do one more breath here. And after we have finished that exhale, we can gently bring our foot back to the ground. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So taking the opposite ankle above our knee. And then if that tension feels good, go ahead and stay there. If you need a little extra tension, go ahead and interlace those fingers and grab either behind the knee or in front of the shin, and then pull that knee towards the chest. Breathing in through the nose, into the belly. Sighing away the tension with each exhale. Really relaxing our muscles, even release the, the head, neck, and shoulder muscles. I know sometimes when we're pulling the knee, we can tend to shrug the shoulders, but we really just want to relax that upper body as well. We're going to go ahead and do one more breath here. And after we finish that exhale, we can gently bring that foot to the ground and then the other foot. And then feel free to stay laying on your back, or you can gently roll to your side, return to a seated, kneeling, or standing position. But that is going to be all the time that I have for us today. So thank you for joining me. We got all of our regular classes coming up here today and next week. So thank you for joining me. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, great weekend, and I'll see you next week.